So basically, this is just like a brief management workshop. I know that there are things that you need to deal with the native teacher when they come in for the first time. And so this is what I do in Immae April. So basically, they get the initial training, which is by HQ, the headquarter. So they usually do June training. So after June training, I ask them to come in and we do in-house training because we have different system. So I will just briefly go over what we do as in-house training. And I personally have orientation because what they have learned in HQ doesn't really align with what we do in our branch. So basically just go over every detail with them. The reason behind this one is because they often complain about the things they were not told in the first month. So the first month is very critical for them because that is the month they don't really ask you questions. If you said this is the policy that we actually have to follow. So I realized that when they come in, the first month is very important for them and for us too. So we are in the same page. And we do the mock teaching as well for the first time like newcomers, so that we know what they are doing is basically what every teacher is doing in April. So this is the basic process that we do in Immae. Pre-arrival preparation, I'm not really sure if you guys like have a personal like email or talk before they arrive here. But what I found out is that if you care more about before they arrive in Korea, then they actually try to do better, like they try to perform better. So I basically provide them information pack about like basics about Korea. So like currency, like transportation options, like apps. Usually I told them to download Neighbor app, like Neighbor map and Katalk and like Katalk T, right? Like where they can call the taxi and stuff. And we do provide like some accommodations, which is like housing. But I usually there when they arrive because they don't really know a thing about their area. So I, before we actually did this one, there were a lot of complaints. Like they actually said that like, oh, you don't really care about me, like, you know. So we do have a mentor program for the newbies, but I also just greet them personally so they actually feel like welcome. And ARC assistants, we used to ask them to do it by themselves, but then realized that they had a trouble like communicating with the person in the immigration office. So I usually send one of my teacher or one of my employees to go with them, so they don't really have trouble making or getting the ARC. So this is a basic like arrival instructions. Wherever their housing is at, I usually provide the basic information. So how to get there, like what subway, like if they're going to take the subway, I give them the subway line number and how long it's gonna take, where to transport and stuff. And I usually encourage them to take a taxi, but I'm not really sure if you're aware, at the airport, there are a lot of guys like, did you call the taxi? Like, I will like drive you to your destination, and they charge like the new teachers like more than $100. So they're overly charged. So one of my new teacher was complaining that she wasn't really told about it. So from then I kind of like get the template from FHR and then provide the personal like, you know, arrival instructions for every teacher who's coming in. This pack includes like where to get their food waste bag and general waste bag, and where to exchange the currency. And I usually communicate with them through Katalog before they arrive. So you can see the time steps as like 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So because they usually contact me whenever they are convenient, and I try to answer them as soon as possible so they don't feel that they're neglected. So usually we communicated through email, but I want them to make sure they downloaded Kaktok. So after first email, I usually check and ask them to send me a message through Kaktok so I can actually talk to them and build a personal connection with them. The reason why I'm doing this is because when they feel they have a connection with you, they tend to like do better, and also they believe you, so they talk more and they open up more. And I thought that was more important to build up like team spirit. So that's why I'm doing it, and it works so far, but there's a person always like, like it didn't work, so it doesn't really work for them. But I try to build like team spirit with them before they arrive. And we do have a mentor program. So I usually assign them with the co-teacher or like a person who's been here long enough so they don't really have much things to do other than like the basic things they are scheduled to do. So this is a basic thing that includes in the welcome package. And the most important thing, like I told you earlier, the first month is like really critical for them to understand the branch and the following, like all the like basic steps that you do in your branch. So I usually before this incident, there was a teacher that was keep telling me like, oh, I didn't know about it, like, or I haven't heard of it. Like no one told me about it. So ever since that happened, I kind of like manualize everything. So I give them the basically like separate paper, like a whole package that has the manual. So it includes like teachers' responsibilities, but also like policies and resources where they can get what. So like on the right side of the corner, you can see like FTP, like ERP, MERP, like teachers portal, and all the password they need to know, or like information they need to know about this branch. I usually provide all of them so they actually have on their hands, and then they can take a look at it so they cannot really say that, oh, I didn't know about it, or I haven't heard of it. So like basically I have a orientation with them, and I explain the class rules that this doesn't really apply to only students, but also you. Like they must speak English only. And like cell phones is not allowed. They cannot really visit on their phone. Surprisingly, some teachers think that, oh, they're using their cell phone for a reason, so they let them use it. So I just go over every rules that we have in April with the new teacher, because they don't really know like how strict they should be or what rules they have to follow, because they think it is okay. There was a teacher who actually thought it was okay to use cell phone in class. So I was like checking CCTV, and I saw this kid was like visiting her on his phone the whole class. So I asked her, and then she was like, I thought it was okay. So ever since then, I just go over every rules that they have to follow, like students have to follow, and the teacher should imply. And I also give them like reminders, what they have to do and what they have to do every day, and what kind of like system we have. So I actually, this one is written down in Korean, but I also explain that one in English too. So they know what they have to do when they didn't bring the book, when they're running around the like classes or hallway. Yeah, so I basically go over every details with them. So they cannot really say that I didn't know about it. This is another manual that I do with them. Before the term test or achievement test and every big events that we have, I just create the template for them. The reason is because they don't, if you just say it, then they don't really write it down, or they write it down in different ways. So they interpret it like as like not as what I meant it, but like differently. So later on, it becomes a problem. So term tests, achievement tests, I usually give them the manual, what they have to do first, what they have to do next. So this is the sample. And every month I make calendar for them so they know what to do. The reason we started the calendar is because they didn't know what lesson they have to take quiz on and when they have to return the writing notebooks. So by doing it, I didn't have any teachers who forgot to return their writing notebooks on time. And it helps a lot for the new teachers who just joined because they don't know the schedule, when to collect it, when to return it, or when to give their chunk quiz and when to take the chunk quiz. It's a little bit complicated for them. So I just provide a monthly calendar for them so they know which lesson they have to prep for and which quiz they have to take and when they have to finish grading their quizzes and writing notebooks. And when they come in for the orientation, I usually schedule them for the class observation. So this is like basic timeline, and then I just tell them like what they have to do. So if you do this one, and I usually provide them with the books, they actually have to take notes on it. And I ask them to mock after they take the observations because they have the basic information after the initial training. So basically they do the mock every day until they start their own classes. So they usually come in for 3 days if they had a good scores after the initial training. But if they got a bad score, like 2 or 3, then I ask them to come in 5 days in a row. But I just schedule for 5 days in a row. But if they do well, if they perform well, then I just said that, oh, like you did well. Like I usually try to compliment on whatever they do, even though there are so many mistakes they make. And I try to reward them as like giving extra day off. The reason is because if you just point out the negative things, they become more discouraged. So I try to give them positive feedback, but also like show them how to like teach the classes, right? So basically, I provide them the program guide and lesson guide. But as you guys already know, they don't really have lesson guide for CBET and SEED, right? And Sprout. So for those classes, I give them what I do in class. So this is what I used to do, like how I prep. So I give them the basic information about like how should they like prep for their classes and why this is important. It is really important to tell them like the reason why they have to prep this way. So basically, I found out that a lot of teachers, they don't have teaching background, so they just like read off the sentences and go to the next page. So I asked them like, please take a look at their visual map. And then from the visual map, there are important things that they have to remember. And then I want you to highlight them on your books so the kids know what important part they have to actually remember. And then I asked them to write down the questions on their books. And those types of questions are really important. And I usually ask them to take a look at their practice book before they actually prep for these classes. Because this reading is linked to like writing part as well, I asked them like those like 5W1H questions you must ask related to any stories that you're teaching in class. So basically, I give them the sample and I show them how I teach in classes and then ask them to mock after they prep for theirs. And this is how we do the writing. So surprisingly, a lot of them don't really know grammar. So I actually have to give them like one-on-one grammar lessons. What can be a subject, what can be a verb, what can be an object, and what is the preposition. And like basically I usually have like one-on-one section with them like for a month and then ask them to do it and then show me before they actually go into classes. So the reason why we're doing this is because we've been getting a lot of parents calls that says like, I think this teacher is not like, she's not aware of what she has to do in class. So I need to kind of like make sure, convince the parents that it's okay. Like our new coming teachers quality is guaranteed. So I need to provide like basic things that we do in every single classes. I know that it's not like 100% like identical, but like we have to have a basic format that every class, every teacher is doing in class. So I give them the template and I give them like, this is what you have to do. And I usually explain what is adverb, what is adjective, and then ask them questions next time. I only explain it once and then I ask them questions the next time. And writing about the pictures, if you just let them do it, then they just write it for the students. They don't really ask questions. So I ask them to mock for this part first, and then usually they just write it down for the kids. So I ask them like, oh no, you should have given the keywords to the students and then give them some time to work on it. And then this is like subject, verb, object, and adjective or blah, blah, blah. So, and then I explain how should have like done it in class. And for the next writing part, this one is closely linked to their reading part. So I kind of explain how should they connect this part to their reading. Because that is what we were telling the parents about the whole program. Like every reading, writing, speaking, and listening are closely connected, and this one will come out as a result when they're doing CTP. So if the teacher don't understand this part, then when they're doing CTP, especially as a native, their outcome will be completely different from what they have learned in class. So the parents are questioning like, why is not related to what they have learned in class? So I kind of like emphasize on this part, like every part is closely related, and that's how you should manage your class as well. And like we have this like paper on their walls, not just for the students, but for the teachers as well, because they don't know, they know what is conjunction, but they don't really know like what transition words that Korean doesn't really know. So I basically explain what are those and I show them like, oh, it's on your wall, and then ask them to make sure they use it every single time. Give them an option, like give them like 3 or 5 different like transition words and ask them to use it. Like they must use it in their writing. And this is really important for Sprout and Upper because when they go to Cheongdam, they don't really get this lesson. So they thought that the parents think that the kids should already know this one in April. So I basically tell the teachers what kind of things they have to know on not just in grammar class, but writing class, they should be aware of this. And after they start classes, I give them feedback after watching their CCTVs, and I have one-on-one meeting. So basically, we have April checklist, And I give it to every teacher because this is what I'm going to grade their performance based on. So I give them, this is like what I'm expecting from your classes. So this is what you have to do. So they have a basic insight about what they should do in their classes before they actually get into their classes. So I give them from the level they are actually teaching, like CBET to junior master. CBET, I usually ask them to just watch me for like 30 minutes and then ask them to do it exactly the same. I know it is very difficult for natives to not to speak any Korean in class, but I told them you cannot allow kids to speak any Korean class, and it works because we implied those rules in the beginning. So the first months, you have to like be a little bit more strict with them, because if they allow the kids to speak Korean in first months, then kids will think that, oh, it's okay to speak Korean, and they will talk to their parents as well. We do have weekly meeting. So I usually put like important events in their calendars as well. And I give them the agenda, what we are going to talk about. So like term tests, we had a speech contest, like report card, counseling calls due. Basically, every important schedule, I just line up for them so they know what is going on in here. And also I provide them the semester schedule, which is provided by HQ. And I give them so they know when they are going to have holidays and when they have to work. That is really important because they think we all think that red days are important, right? So I give them the schedule beforehand so they can actually plan for their vacation or day off. Yes. So this is what I do every week. We have a weekly meeting on Tuesday at 2. So I stated that one in their orientation, so they don't really have complaints about weekly meetings or like workshop, etc. So we have a writing workshop like first week of each semester. I provide them samples. So I provide them my samples and then ask them if you have any question, feel free to ask me. And after they collected their first writing notebooks, for Sprout, they don't have their writing notebook until the second month of the semester. So Sprout, I just asked them, train them with the other writing materials. Like, what would you do if you are the teacher of this class? But sapling and upper, they actually have the writing notebook, so I usually work with them. And then the middle of semester, the reason why I don't just finish in the first week of each semester is because they don't do it. So first month, they're actually doing it really well. So I thought, oh, okay, so everyone is on the same page. Great. I don't really need to check on them anymore. But then after 3 months, they're back to I don't know, where they started. So you actually need to check on their writing notebooks, unannounced as well. Just check randomly. I usually tell the teachers, probably first semester, I will just check your preparation and your writing notebook just to help you, not just to check on you. I emphasize on the part that I am doing favor of yours, not I'm trying to micromanage everything. So I of course I try to build a personal connection, not just talk to them when I have to, but ask them how they're doing, what's your plan for the weekends. And we usually have a staff dinner the first week and the second month. So we try to have some coffee time or staff dinner based on the schedule we have, and that works so far, except for very sensitive teachers. Yes. And we do have mock sections. So like I told you in the beginning, before they actually start the class, I ask them to mock pretty much every day. And then I evaluate them and I give them feedback and also ask them to like change this part this way and that. After that, we have a whole teacher mock section. So if the teacher was here long enough, then I don't really ask them to do it because I like it's a kind of like a sign that I believe them because I'm checking their CCTV anyway. They don't really have to do mock in front of everyone. But if they've been here for a year or like 2 years, then I actually ask them to do the mock because this is like learning process. Like everyone, even I'm learning too. Like some teachers have their very creative ways to teach kids. And I told them like, oh, this is just like open up session, like not just think as a mock, but we are sharing how to teach kids in better ways. So it's like mock, but I give them the template so they can actually write down like how everyone is doing it. And so they can ask questions. So like basically we're sharing comments and opinions and ask them like how does it work in classes. This doesn't really apply to like just class material wise, but also like student management too. I used to have student management workshop, but then teachers' personality differs from this and that. So everyone has a conflict, like sharing comments to each other. So I usually have the student management workshop individually for the first semester, especially for the new teacher because they don't cold call a lot. They don't know how strict they have to be. And sometimes I had a kid who was coming to me and said that I felt bad for the teacher. And I said, why? And then she said that because the teacher said stop, but no one was listening in class. So that could actually happen. So I kind of like give them that, oh, you're doing great. The kid, like the students are really fond of you, but like maybe you can do this and that. And I give them advice and see how it works. So they're usually very handful for like a couple of months. But if you put your time into it, then yeah, they will support you and also they will follow the direction pretty well. So I guess first months is very like I said, is very important. So that's it for today. Do you guys have any other questions?
I'm sorry, go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay. All right, thank you. I was wondering because I'm pretty new at this position and the information pack that you've created, I thought it was very helpful because I was kind of doing that by myself. And thankfully, over the past year, like no new native teacher has arrived in the Ilsan branch, but we have a new teacher coming this end of September, and I was wondering if you could share that PPT or the file with us, and I could kind of modify it into our version if that's possible. Because none of these resources, like I didn't know where to get it, and then until this workshop, so I was wondering if that was possible.
Yeah, I got this template, this arrival instructions from FHR, but I'm pretty sure they are okay with it. So I will just check with them and then I will share this one. And do you need other things as well, or like?
Like some of the stuff that you talked about like, having a monthly like calendar for the teachers, like I thought that was a very good idea. So I will be creating that for like to adapt to our branch. But some of the policies and resources, like some of the policies that are Cheongdam, like, the April rules that have to be enforced within the teachers. I thought maybe you could send that too, and then I'll read over it and I'll just take all the, like, kind of summarize it to our branch necessities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, if all these resources could be shared, it'll be very helpful. That's what I thought.
So we're actually stricter than any other branch. We're pretty strict because I know there are several teachers from other branch, and we kind of like imply those rules strongly than any other branch. So I'm not really sure if it will be ideal for sharing all the policies and resources that I'm doing it over here, because I'm not really sure if that's what your BM or ABM wants, your branch to.
Right. So that after, like, I'll keep that in mind, and I'll just take out like the stuff that kind of suits our branch. Because when they told me to do the in-house training for the new teachers, all I got was the program guide and the lesson guide that came like all the way at the end.
Okay,
And
I will
then-
talk to Richard about it, and then I will share the information.
Yeah, so I'll actually talk to Jennifer about this as well and see what information we can kind of like share, maybe put it into some kind of Google Drive folder. Yeah, I think like I feel like a lot of locations don't have like resources like this, which is why we're having this workshop. So I'm glad that you need this information, and we'll definitely make it available for you. But before we do, I'll probably need to talk to Jennifer about this and get everything prepared. We can't just like dump put all the
Right.
So yeah, don't worry about it, Allison. We'll get it prepared for you.
Okay.
Okay. I think Steve had a question as well.
I did. First thing, thank you for the PowerPoint. Starting next Monday, because it's starting with the new fall semester.
Yeah.
And our bench, we're having 3 new native teachers coming,
Oh, wow.
starting next week. Right. So
A lot.
but now I know their contract states that they start working from the 28th, but I know me trying to help out 3 teachers at once, for me, it's really and right now I'm in a situation where I also have to cover for a teacher all the way until this month. So I'm still working with that too. But because I know their contract states the 28th, but like you said, you have the teachers before they start classes, they have the mock classes, you have them observe. Is it okay for me to call them before their contract starts to have them observe and do mock classes? I don't know how the whole the situation works with that.
So depending on your teacher's availability, but so when they arrive, I usually help them with grocery and everything. So I just like tell them that after you finish your initial training, you have to come to our branch and get in-house training. And I was told that they were told that they will not get paid for those hours in advance. They were already told that they will not get paid for the initial training. But sometimes I have teachers who doesn't really have enough time, so they just got initial training, but they didn't really have time to come to April. But then I personally send an email to like FHR and ask them if they can take a time off on Thursday or Wednesday, because they have a group workshop in the afternoon. And I think so I usually ask them how the new teacher is doing in training first, because if they're not doing well in training, there's no point of them coming over. But if they're doing well, and if they can skip the group workshop for just a day, because Friday they finish earlier anyway, so they can come in. But I realized that I need more than 1 day to do it. The minimum day they have to be here is 2 days. So I usually ask FHR if they can come in on Wednesday or Thursday. And then I ask them to come in and observe some of the classes and help them. And I usually tell them that I'm just trying to help you pass the test, like the mock section on Friday too. So I actually tell them how they have to do well on their mock on Friday, because that's going to be their final test as well. So I usually communicate with the new teacher and then ask them to come in. So my new teacher was supposed to come in today, but I'm pretty occupied today, so I asked her to come in tomorrow. So she'll be
Mhm.
here for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. So I kind of like told them when she arrived, and then I was like helping her get around her neighbor and like told her like help her buy grocery and stuff. So she didn't really have any objections. I never had any teacher who said like who complained about it because they know eventually will help them. Yes.
Right. Okay. So I just didn't know if that was allowed. Because I know like the whole, because I didn't want to do anything that wasn't allowed to do. Because I know their
Okay.
contracts
Well,
probably
I
states the 28th,
usually
but
talk with FHR first and to see
okay.
if that's okay. Yes.
Okay. Also, I
Thank you.
think in terms of like I guess calling them before their contract starts, that's perfectly
Mhm.
okay. But I will have to double check with Crevice F's contract.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it's part of their training period in order for them to be prepared for class. So a lot of branches do have like, like they do meet beforehand to train the
Right.
instructors. But then once their contract starts, that's when you have to kind of think about overtime and all that, right? But before that, it's all part of their pre-training period. So it's okay to call them, right? But Steve, I'm gonna make a note of this. I'm gonna just to
Mhm.
double check the contracts for the Crevice F April.
Mhm.
If it's the same as I guess the regular April branch April's contract, then there
Mhm.
should be an issue. But I'll get back to you on this. I'll give you a call, okay?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I also have like a question for Jennifer. I don't know about the other branches, but for our branch, we have Korean teachers and like Korean teachers who speak English and native teachers. When you do like weekly meetings or writing workshop with them, do you include all the teachers? Because
Yes.
for our branch, I hold weekly meetings with the Korean teachers because of Sangdam, because they do Sangdam for the Korean students. And we do have more issues to talk about. And sometimes like I don't want to take away like the preparation time from the native teachers. And it's been an issue like because it's hard to include Korean and native teacher all at once to hold a meeting. Like, what is your like in like what would you do? What are you doing right now in your branch?
So we do a weekly meeting all together. And then if there's an issue that needs to be shared with everyone, then we do talk about those kids. But we're actually using Google Dot to share like some issues with the kids so that everyone knows like what's going on with certain kids. So we
Right.
use like Google Dot, which says like daily report. So if there's an issue, they can actually take a look at it, and like bilingual and native teachers can communicate through that Google Doc too. They don't really need to talk like face to face because they tend to get busier. Um, so what I do is I actually hold a Korean like counseling like meeting as well. So I actually have to do both. What I do is I do weekly meeting first, and then if there's an issue that related to class or students, I just like discuss with the teachers at once. And then for the bilingual teachers, I have a template too. So I actually have a like similar paper like this one, and I just write down everything they need to be discussed in that call. So they can actually just read off from what it is, and then just need to share like if there's any issues, like any complaints with the parents. So, and I also tell like native teachers, they also have different workshop, like something as like students management. Korean teachers, they don't really have a problem with handling the kids because once you say it, they kind of like get it. But like natives, like they don't really know how straight they can be. So yeah, so I just tell them like, yeah, if it needs to be shared, then I just like tell it once. But if doesn't, if it's straightly about the counseling call, then I just give them the paper and go over with them. And they usually ask me questions when I go over the template. Anything else?
I'm just kind of curious. Like I know, Jennifer is pretty strict with the I guess the mock sessions and the CCTV meetings. What about like the rest of you? Do you guys do CCTV meetings? Like, do you sit down and watch CCTVs with them? Like, do you give them paper feedback?
I want
To
to
be
talk
honest with
about
you,
CCTV.
Oh yes, Rena. I'm sorry.
I actually want to talk about our CCTV evaluation.
Mhm.
That is because our branch's CCTV is really old, and most of the class, their qualities are really bad. So I've heard and I was told to grade and evaluate our old teachers' CCTV, and then we also have this period for grade evaluating for that. But after I was told, when I see CCTV, our quality is too bad to recognize. So when I look at it, I cannot really recognize what our teachers are really presenting on our smart TV. So if they are really using our smart board, or they are just using our internet like Google site. So I was like really questioning myself. So how can I really evaluate well enough using this CCTV?
I have the same problem too, because the CCTV only shows the student side, and then usually most of the time the CCTV is located in the front of the classroom, so you cannot see what the teacher is doing to the smart board. So I can't really grade on like how the teacher is executing, like how the teacher is effectively using the smart board and the resources. And like even like the sound quality, it's really like the sound is not that excellent. So I'm just like evaluating the overall like presentation of the class, like whether the teacher is walking around, like the interactions between the student and the teacher. But I can't really like evaluate on the exact quality of the class, and that is one of the limitations that our branch has as well.
My branch doesn't even have a sound system either. So I don't really know what they are really doing. And sometimes I just walk around the hall and I just spot a lot of bad things. They are just using the different material. They just skip the page and they just let students walk around and doing their own materials, not using our books. So that time I have to just break in the room and have to make them do, just getting them again back to our normal schedule or following our steps like that. But I don't really want to break in the class every time because they can surprise our students. When I appear in the class, then students think something is really bad going on. And wow, teacher is in trouble, or oh, did we really do something bad? So they got so like they were in panic like that. And sometimes they complain about our BM or me just getting into their classroom so often, and we get complaint calls about it. Like our April rules speak English only, so they were so loud, speaking Korean so much, and native teachers couldn't control at all. So even we could hear those noises just in front of our elevator, so barely. So that time we got into a classroom and we got really, really many complaint calls from the classroom's parents. It's like that. So I think CCTV evaluation is the most I know it's very important, but I think if we don't really have a proper CCTV or some different materials, I don't really think this can be really helpful for teachers to improve, right? I think it's just more extra work for us to just make up, fill in the chart only to present to the headquarters, not really helpful, I think.
Can I ask a question? Have you guys maybe asked the branch manager, like, hey, like our CCTV is not working, I can't do my job, monitoring our instructors, like, can we get this fixed?
Yeah, so we have talked about this, and actually, we got one company from CCTV, and that time they show us the estimated price,
Mhm.
estimated cost to change our old CCTV to better one or the newest one.
Mhm.
And that time, I heard our BM say it was too expensive.
Too
So we
expensive.
couldn't really change it. That was what we had.
Okay.
So we had
Well, what I'll do is I'm gonna probably talk to 정채진 이사 or maybe 김지혜 부장 about possibly looking into the situation. At least with Ilsan and Chungye, because I think Allison kind of mentioned that you have CCTV issues as well, right? I'm assuming Mokdong is fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bundang is fine with the CCTV quality.
Okay, all right. At least with those two locations, let me meet them today and then see if there's anything they can do on their end to maybe get the system fixed or something. Because I know recently we spent time off replacing all the CCTVs at our locations, so why not Crevice as well, right? So let me inquire about that specific situation. But like Jennifer, like in their situation, if they need to like monitor the classes, like what would you suggest?
So we don't really have a good CCTV as well. It's breaking down. The image quality is like black and white, so it's hard to tell what they're actually doing on their board. What I did was there are some times that I don't have classes because I was head teacher, so I had a break just to monitor their classes. In that time, I just got into their class and checked theirs. I just sit there and then I was like with the other like students and I observed their classes. Of course, they try to do better compared to when you're just watching CCTV, but you cannot really watch them the whole time, but just for at least a day or two, I go into their classes and sit there and then like tell them what they should have done and what they did well and try to help them like how they should have like done better. Like so basically because our CCTV is not working fine, like is the sound is okay. So I guess Rena, I guess you're having a lot of difficulties grading their like giving them evaluation because if sound doesn't work, yeah, there's no way you can actually do it. I just think that it is a radio, so I just listen to it sometimes because I don't have any pictures. But yeah, what COVID changed was because we had Zoom classes, we had online classes, right? And we're actually still doing it. The one of the reason why we're still doing Zoom classes because to check the class quality. They need to share the screen. They need to show what they're actually do on the board. So when my BM said like she wants to stop doing online classes, I told her that I want like at least like 3, 4 Zoom accounts available. So they can actually use the Zoom and it's actually way better than CCTV because you can actually see what they're writing down on their board too. Before that, I actually had to go in and then I was like, how was your classes? And then like one of the teacher come up to me and says, why are you here? And then I was like, show me your book. And then I actually checked their books. And then asked the teacher how was the classes, like how's everything going? And then like we had a little chat. But then after Zoom, like after COVID, I didn't really have to do that one because I can actually see the screen, what she was doing it. So one idea that you can actually suggest is ask your like BAM or ABM, what if just like purchase like one Zoom account for like the new teachers, so you can actually help them like improve their class quality. So I think it was like $19 or $21, but I'm not really sure. Yes. But yeah, so ever since then the class quality got better because we had a Zoom account as well. And first 40 minutes is free. So if you don't want to pay it, just ask them to use it, because the first 40 minutes is free and it's recording.
So you would actually record the Zoom, like using the Zoom account, like if we have one Zoom account available, you would share that Zoom account like time to time from teacher to another teacher, tell them to record the class, and then I'll observe the recorded part.
Right. Mhm.
That's I think that's
That's a good idea,
could
actually.
work. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually,
Yeah.
rather than replacing all the CCTVs,
Uh-huh.
because then I'll get to watch like the smart board as well. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, so
Thank
that's
you.
what we are doing right now. So
Right. So we do have one Zoom account, like we do have it one available. So I'll make sure the teacher takes turns to log into the account and record their class.
yeah.
All right. Ilsan's issue is the camera's facing the students, not the teacher. Okay, not
Right.
Okay. That's a
Yeah.
different problem then.
Yeah, and then like also for Zoom, I think then I could like download the recorded part and then watch it in my class, because with Irsan's issues, I couldn't like, unless I download it on a tiny USB, I have to like squint down, like, like to the in front of the CCTV screen, and like the headphone wouldn't work, so I would have to play the sound out loud. So it was like the environment and then everyone would know that I'm evaluating their class. So it was very bad, but okay. Great.
Yeah, even they can record on cloud, so you can actually watch it. Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Not a comment, but it's like, I don't know if everybody has like, because I think every branch, like the HI or the managers have their roles can vary, but I think this was like especially in our branch, ever since I became an HI, but last year I did have classes, so I guess it could also be an excuse, but there wasn't much time I could observe the CCTV. But studying this spring semester, the manager also wanted me to have, didn't want me to have any classes so I could actually observe the CCTV. But ever since the spring semester, I came in a situation where I had to cover for a lot of the teachers. I think from spring to even this week also, I've only had like I want to say like a week or two without classes. So to be honest with you, I wasn't able to watch the CCTV, but at the same time, also one of my roles is I had to create the schedules for our branch. At the same time, even with the extensives, I had to like choose which book, choose the programs, make the schedule for that too also. But of course, if I didn't have any classes, I think I would have been totally fine with it. But I think because of classes also, I just had a really difficult time to like, I don't know, like just trying to keep a good balance of my job. But I don't know if other teachers are the same way right now, if they have classes and they're also doing the same role. But right now, I'm just kind of struggling of trying to keep a balance also, but at the same time, having 3 new native teachers that had to see if they got to their housing all right, if their training is going well, and having their taking care of the contract. That also for me right now, I guess I'm at a point, especially this month, I was just overwhelmed with all this things. I just could have really, I think like I'm at my peak right now. Like I'm just really trying to like, so I don't know how everybody's trying to having how they're managing their roles right now, but I'm just kind of at a point where I think I really need some advice or how to try to really manage like these two like roles, I guess. But but yeah, for CCTV, I just didn't really have like a proper like a full day just to observe and the classes also. But yes.
So when you said that you were covering for other teachers, like you're actually covering for them, like you're going in
Yeah, the
there
whole day.
for whole
Yep,
day
like the whole day.
because it was their day off or like
No, it was like for one situation was like it was either COVID or the teacher, which I wasn't informed, but one of the teachers, I guess they were promised like a week off to actually like go home and visit. So I had to cover for that whole week too. This month, or starting, last week of July and up until like this whole week, one of our native teachers, she kind of like just disappeared or in a way. So then because of that, I had to go for her class, but because of the incentives too, I had classes from from morning up until like the whole day, because I didn't want to give out like more classes to the like more extensive classes to the other teachers because I know how that can turn out.
yeah.
So I just for her classes, the one that kind of bailed out, I just took all her classes too. So and because of that too, just having having classes from 10 to 7, that also kind of just weighed in on me. But yeah, when I meant covering, it's like actually doing her like whole job. Yeah, but yes.
Yeah, I've been there too.
Mhm.
Oral, I can say is that hang in there.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
No, that's actually, yeah, I mean, it will get better as you get new
Mhm.
teachers. They will give them like the responsibility they actually have to carry on. Like, I wasn't the person who actually give a lot of compliments, but I realized that works too. Giving them a lot of compliments, but also point out what they have to improve on too. You have to be precise, but also some teachers are very sensitive. So just like ask your BM or ABM to like buy some coffee for everyone, and you have a
Mhm.
coffee time with everyone, and then just like have a regular chat, and also ask them how they're adjusting to Korea as well. In that way, I didn't really have any native teacher ran away till
This is
now.
the first time for me too, and it's
Yeah,
also the first
right.
time first time having this many teachers like absent or for this long periods of time. I mean like a day, everybody can have a situation where they get sick or any situation, but like going away like a week at a time for me is just like I think I never had a situation like this. With the
Yeah,
Korea is very
like I had
awesome.
a teacher who kind of like said that she wants to quit, and then she was like 교포, so she actually like I knew where her parents were. So
Mhm.
I was able to talk her out of it, like talk her to come out and work until I find the replacement. But if I heard that there's a situation that the native teacher just like took off. Like they just take the plane and take a picture and that says like this is my ticket, I'm going away. I'm going home. So
Mhm.
in that case, you can ask your BM or ABM to find a replacement. If you're not available, ask the ABM or BM to merge the
Right.
classes. I mean, I have been there. I was here at 9 o'clock in the morning and I finished working at 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
I worked 13 hours a day for 2 weeks because that was the intensive course that she bailed on. And I know what you're kind of like going through.
Like I mean, I wish she would
Yeah.
give us a heads up, but it was to the point
Yeah,
where
there
it
isn't
was
any.
just
So,
like she wasn't there for a class. Like it was
yeah,
her
right.
time, but I was looking for her. I was like, okay, it's
What
her
I
time to
did
teach.
was I kind of like reached out to my social group as well. I asked them if they can actually come in and work for that intensive. And a few times it actually worked, but there was a time it didn't, of course, work out. Like when the teacher said like she's sick and or she got COVID, that she cannot come to work for a week, right? I usually find a replacement and I ask BM or like ABM at the time that I cannot really teach those classes and I just like open up more like that. If I do teach, then I cannot do this one and that one. I just like tell them, yeah, like there's a limitation. But when I was HI, I did pick out all the books. I did check everyone's syllabus and I gave them all the syllabus sample and how they have to schedule their meeting classes. And I'm currently doing it too, but when I was HI, I actually had individual meeting with everyone so I can schedule the full semester. So because when you watch CCTV, then you will find out some teachers are struggling with upper levels, some teachers are good with the lower levels, right? So my insight was very important. So I was in charge of like assigning like which one to which level. And also there is like a chemistry between students and teachers too, right? There are like bad batch and then there was like good mix of students, so I tried to sort that one out as well. So yeah, I don't really like B3 track because that's when I get really busy. So I think you're doing great over there. Yeah, but if it's too much for you, you have your BM or ABM, right? Yes, I'm the ABM, so I only have BM left. But you have your BM and ABM. So I guess just like open up, like I'm having like hard time managing up like all those things. Like I cannot do this one while I'm teaching. Yeah. So they will find, or you can even give them an option. That's what I did. I found this teacher, she's like 25,000원 per hour. Like she can work for a week. Like, can we hire her? Like I actually did that too, because I cannot juggle those two things at the same time. Yes.
Right.
So I guess you can talk to your ABM. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is she right? I heard your ABM is. Did she leave?
I think the reason why I think I had a lot more like roles is because like, last year our ABM, I guess I don't know if she moved or moved to a different branch or so.
Yeah, right. She moved.
For a while we were right, so we had some of her roles were actually I had to take over. But I think right now the person that's been here for a while, I think her official title right now is ABM. But for a while we didn't have an ABM for a while.
Okay.
But I think now starting the spring semester, we just I think because if her role here, I think now she's ABM. So, but at the
I
same
guess
time,
you can just talk to her more. Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think we went a little bit over time. I know you guys have your own schedules for today. But I mean, just because the meeting end doesn't mean that our communication will end. I'll definitely send a follow-up email with the video link. Again, I'll talk to Jennifer about the material. I'm gonna inquire about the CCTV, fixing the CCTV, at least with the Chunge side. And hopefully you can, keep an open communication. And, if you guys have any questions, you have our contact information. You can probably search us on Groupware, right? You guys have access to that, right? So, yeah, I mean, I want to first thank Jennifer. Thank you for taking the time to put all this together. And, out of her busy schedule, she was able to create all this and share it with all of us. So thank you, Jennifer.
Thank
Give her a
you.
nice hand. And I want to thank Allison, Steve, and Rena for attending today's meeting on short notice again. But hopefully we can, communicate more. And, if there's any issues, you can always, let me know or just contact anyone at FH. Or actually, it's Crevice F, right? So definitely Crevice F, we work together. So if there's any issues, we kind of like, communicate with one another. So definitely we'll keep an open communication. So thank you again. Have a great day. And hopefully, maybe in the future, we can have another meeting or something. Okay. All right.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for attending today's meeting. Bye
All right,
bye.
thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.